Hey everyone, it's me, Camo, and welcome back to another Minecraft video in my survival world. It's been a while. As I said last episode, I was on vacation, and it was a very good vacation, so I will be happily telling you about that later. However, what we wanted to do today is do a gold farm. However, I decided I don't feel like it. So, instead, we are going to be, just doing a couple small projects that I've been meaning to finish up for a while and get started on it. And the first thing I really wanted to work on was this sniffer farm here. Because it's a little sad farm, like, it works, don't get me wrong. It's also very loud. Uh, however, as you can see, it really does work pretty well. I have spare eggs, I have this because I messed up how this worked originally. I thought they had like infinite memory. It really doesn't matter. The point is though, it just kind of looks sad, and I kind of want to change that. Another weird thing in this area is that Endermen have been picking up blocks and moving them, specifically the mud blocks. So now there's just missing blocks throughout this area, and it's really weird, and it's really annoying. Because, like, I know the solution is to mob-proof everything, but I want it to look decent and not look like torch spam. So, personally, my solution is to ask Mojang to make torch flowers light up, because I think that's a wonderful idea. However, I know that's not going to happen, so I'll have to figure out with something later that'll do something that's, like, efficient mob-proofing. Maybe I could set up, like, a machine that, like, just mob-caps out Endermen, but I don't really know. So besides all the Enderman shenanigans, the first thing I want to do is actually like make an aesthetic build here that'll actually fit, and I want to include both allays and sniffers in the area, so I can also duplicate them as well as collect the seeds easier, because hopper minecarts are probably not the effective solution here. And I think that's all I wanted to do for this, so without further ado, let's jump into this. So first things first, we should probably actually like remove the mobs from this area, and we are going to do that by taking this fence post, taking the leads, and just getting a bunch of sniffers to come with us. Like, let's see, ooh. Because I want it to be in this area specifically. That's my preference. We're probably gonna flatten it out a bit. We're gonna do a bit of work. Oh my gosh, these things are huge. Like, I never realized how big they are when you try to, like, actually interact with them. Can these guys even fit in minecarts? Like, that's a good question I want to know now. I think we'll have either 6 or 4 sniffers in this area. I really don't want a lot. I just want, like, a space where I can probably reproduce them, though. Like, 3 eggs at a time, though. So, let's set them here, and let's just place them down. So, my plan for the build I want to do is make a graveyard. I think it's a simple build, like a simple concept. Because in this area we have like a lot of like ancient things, like this giant salmon over here with like this like water well. We have a human plate structure. There's a lot more I have for this area that involves like trees and higher like civilization and stuff. So I think it just makes sense to have this area be like a bit of like a burial ground or like whatever. And maybe I can actually like put like dead stuff in this area then. That like died in this world, unfortunately. So that's what we're gonna do first. So speaking of recording stuff right now, so normally I start recording on like Wednesday, and then by Monday I start editing, and then Wednesday I kind of upload it, and the cycle repeats, unless I do like a 2-week thing where like I just casually go back and forth. But I think I want to stick to going back to full-time like weekly uploads. I think that might just be better to keep consistently. However, I want to definitely change my my process this time around. I really want to start editing while I'm making the video, and I also want to make things more smooth and stuff. and not be afraid to like re-record or re-speak, because I'm kind of getting sick of just saying like or like or probably or actually or whatever those like repetition words I keep using. I appreciate them helping me fill in the gaps, but they're really distracting, and I don't want to use them anymore. I'm trying to like limit myself. So hopefully in future videos I'll try to lower it. I'm going to put a counter probably at the end of this video where I'll put like how many times I've said those words so I can encourage myself to say it less. It's just to help me. I want my words to be more precise and less just like fillery and that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure how to phrase it. So that's my plan for some of like my future videos and how I want to do things going forward. I may not be afraid every once in a while to do like 2-week uploads though. I'm just doing I'm doing what I feel because I don't want to like reach burnout. August is the month where we get assigned all our like summer work for school, and then like by like August 31st school starts. So I have to like catch up and do that stuff. So I'm doing like Minecraft and other stuff and other projects as well as school now. So, you know, we gotta really like crank in and figure out how to manage time right now. But it's pretty good right now. Like I must say, I'm happy where I'm at with like finding a schedule, and wouldn't mind, you know, like definitely like learning how to improve now that I like got the basics down this summer of like what to do when recording in YouTube and how I do all this process and stuff. And I think I got most of my mic settings down. I did change them when I got my new PC because they wouldn't sync the settings for some reason and I couldn't find the file. However, I don't really care, so. I'm also really looking, well, also, you know, I did definitely crack down on the science. However, there is one thing I might have to reconsider, so I really do want to just, for consistency, try to upload on Wednesdays. However, I also realize Snapshots release on Wednesdays, and since this is a Snapshot survival world, where I play as the world updates, and I choose whether I want to, like, you know, explore the new features or whatever without, like, backing up the world and stuff, I really shouldn't have... It's a bit of an oversight, to say the least, where I wait for Wednesday to come, I do the snapshot, and then I upload it the next Wednesday when they upload a new snapshot. Which probably isn't a good idea, because it might feel a bit more dated, and I might have to move it to either like a Thursday or just... Yeah, like, I moved my upload to a Thursday, and I had like a last minute segment at the end of the episode, or I explore it later. It's really up to how I'm feeling and figuring it out. I still haven't decided what I wanted to do regarding that. However, that is definitely something that was a bit of an oversight when I started recording and uploading. But now that I'm back from like all the hectic stuff these past couple weeks, though, hopefully things are a lot more consistent and uploads are flowing regularly now. I feel like sometimes one video feels like 3 weeks apart, but I know that's not really the case. I do want to I wish I could upload more, but I can't really do that right now, because I really can't, like, support everything, and I don't want to reach burnout. So... But if you do want to see me play, like, another game, I'd be happy to show off something of my skills. I wish there was a way to prevent sniffer eggs from hatching, because they are actually, like, a really interesting looking block. Another thing I really want to go back to on my channel too as well is, you've seen, I mean, this was definitely like older content, but I really want to go back to speed paints. I would love to do one at least like once a month and just show some art, because I normally don't get to do that often, and even if not that, I would love to just make like YouTube short time lapses or something that I can just, like, show off some art real quick. That's the one thing I did notice, though, like, in the last couple builds, like, the, you know, I'm definitely trying to tie this world together, but I never realized how, in my salmon, I used, like, stone bricks in that ruin vibe, and then I also used it in the Ember Valley, and now I'm using it here. I never realized how frequently I was going to use that, because I normally try to, like, avoid doing, like, similar builds all together every whatever, but I guess I'm in that, like, phase right now, where it's stone bricks. I actually normally don't really like stone bricks, so this is a huge surprise to me. So I think what I want to do is we can have, like, a black stone base right here. I just realized that that's going to start here, so I don't have to worry about that. Speaking of recording stuff, with, like, my new approach to stuff, like, I'm just gonna be frank here, like, I just spoke for, like, the past, like, 30 minutes, and I'm probably going to cut most of that out now. I do want to kind of just talk more in my videos and just, like, chit-chat about random things that I feel like are worth talking about. So, yeah. However, I really don't know what to talk about sometimes, and when I do, I start to just go off the spot and ramble. So I might either, like, re-record while building or speaking and do these cutaways. Also, another thing, so I used that, like, time-lapse thing in, like, the last episode. I brought on, like, an alt account on the server. I did not like that. I was not fond of that. I feel like it felt a bit cheaty in the world, especially since it was, like, a spectator account. And I had to, like, manually move things. It just wasn't good, and I don't think it really, like, supports the, like, ideologies of this world, so I'm not gonna do that anymore. So, unless it becomes, like, more acceptable, but, like, to me, that just doesn't feel right. Like, sure, it's, like, a nice creator tool, but if I want to show you something, I'm gonna show you it in, like, first person. We're gonna, like, do a little chit-chat, we're gonna build, we're gonna have fun, and it's gonna be that. I don't want to, like, time-lapse and, like, speed up things when doing it in, like, a third-person perspective. This actually doesn't look that bad from a distance. Like, I actually really like this. Alrighty. I think I finished building it now. So, over here, as you can tell, I made it a bit bigger because I didn't realize 6 sniffers was still going to be small here. And essentially, oh, I forgot to build the graves here, but there's going to be a couple more graves here. There is a little water puddle for the sniffers. There's an allay collection system, a really cheap one. I didn't really care to make it look super hidden. However, the allays are probably just going to hit that back and forth. That'll make it easier to collect, but typically if they just keep throwing it in a loop, they'll get it. All the allays will stay here, so they don't need to be, like, leaded or anything. I have a couple example of the gravestones, and just a couple soul torches. On the inside, all I did was just put a jukebox and 2 barrels where we can stuff stuff with seeds. And that's pretty much it. I made sure sniffers can't escape. I made sure it looks pretty good on the outside. I really like the, like, fake windows. And I think it connects pretty well with the area around here. So I'm gonna say it looks good. So all those allays will be stuck there because they're in range and they'll always, like, go back to that note block no matter what. And that pretty much means we should be good. I do want to add a couple more gravestones, as I said, but besides that, I'm pretty happy. Oh, and I also added moss gravestones here so we could plant eggs later. But yeah, that's this. I kind of want to move on to the next project now. So let's get started on that. Alrighty, so we are now at my witch farm. And this is where we're actually going to start our next project today, because my witch farm is right over here. You've probably seen it in the background of some of these videos. But this is where all the witches would go up to and get killed. It was very unfinished when I first made it, so this was kind of left in the background for a while. It was just the source of like gunpowder and like redstone and stuff. Right down here, as you can see, so this is like the actual like witch spawning area. It's kind of broken at the moment. The flying machines are like stuck in between the thing. It's really messy. Uh, there's like skulk sensors and like it just doesn't look that good, especially with like this giant tube shooting upwards too. As well as this really ugly house. Like I'm not fond of it at all. Like this looks bad. The colors don't stick, the sides look really ugly. The only thing that I genuinely like is the shape and the roof. But even then, I don't want it here anymore. I don't even feel like the floating island fits. So what we're probably going to do is take it down and also fix the redstone here. Alrighty, so now over here, I actually removed the entire island. I left like the storage system and like the pipe that left up. I actually moved the pipe over by a block because it would be in the way for what I wanted to do next. And that was fix my redstone. So the bottom one, as you can see here, is clearly working. The other top two I haven't done yet because I kind of just wanted to do an example to make sure it worked. So, I don't want to get hit by that machine. So, over here, we have this flying machine consisting of honey blocks and slime blocks right here. They go right there, and then they bounce back. That's essentially the simple portion of the design. So then on the outside, we have redstone here that is powered by a clock that can be turned on and off. There's an observer that detects it. I'm not sure if I'm going to build 3 of these or if I'm just going to link it up to all of them, which I probably will do that. And that observer will shoot a pulse, the repeaters pick it up, and then the repeaters time it so it perfectly crosses over so we can always push them off. And since there's always redstone being powered here, even if it does get stuck in between chunks, it'll always send another pulse, leading to it getting constantly pushed, which means this won't break if I accidentally deload by like being in the villager area. So I think that's all a huge positive. Now the next part, what we would need to do is I need to do that like 2 more times, and I also need to make sure that it's still dark under there, because when I patch this up, that is still all dark under there. We need to make sure it's like that for all of them, and we need to make sure they're functioning. So let me get back to you when I do that. Okay. So everything is now working perfectly. These are flowing. I can unload the chunks safely, and they're actually doing its job. I also moved the pipe over so that the witches can flow up and the redstone doesn't interfere too. And all we need to do now is actually like build the aesthetics of the thing, because I don't want it to just look like this. So we're gonna need like a really like tall build, but I think we need to actually like build something here first, like on the witch farm itself. So what we're gonna do actually is, this is a little technique I learned a while ago. But if you take a cauldron, right, place that down, and you get a potion of void brew, fresh from the void, you can actually just throw it on here, and then watch what happens. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And just like that, we have a beautiful cauldron. As you can see over here, this marvelous cauldron takes up quite a bit of the area around here. But this is a really good foundation for what I want to do next. And we'll get to that very shortly, but you know, a very interesting cauldron made out of like the freshest void. Like, even there's visual bugs when looking at it for some reason. Uh, it keeps like flickering. It's really weird. I was thinking, what if we made like a giant demon claw sticking out of the pot, and then it like holds something, or maybe just like the hand just sticks out, and then like there's like the storage system inside like the entire arm that rises out. So it like reaches for the sky. It fits because it looks like it's coming out of this cauldron. And it's also kind of towering. Like, most of the scale in this world right now has been really small. So doing something a little bit bigger to have like in the background I think would look really cool. So let me grab a couple shulker boxes of netherrack, and then we can actually start building this together. Hey, Editor Camo here. I wanted to take this moment to talk while we were actually building in game. However, the videos, for whatever reason, had the audio sound very quiet, and when I tried bumping it up, it sounded like I was just slurring my words. So I'm gonna speed up this footage, and I'm just gonna talk about my vacation here right now, because I think it was a very interesting trip. It was quite the experience, you know? To start off with, our dog actually had to go to the emergency room before we left, so we almost didn't actually end up going. But he's good now. That's good at least. But when we actually went there, the entire area was flooded due to like a flash thunderstorm, and all the stuff went up, like all the water went up to like knee height, like up to our house that we rented out. So that was already like incredible. There wasn't like a lot of like interesting things to talk about other than like it just being very like, we went to the beach, so like obviously that's a very relaxing thing. I think the most interesting stuff was probably in like the morning and the evenings where like we would go out to dinner or go to like a brewery or something, or even just, like walk around the boardwalk or, get food there. I personally enjoyed myself. I read a lot of books. That was a big thing that I did on this vacation. I did want to tell one story though, while we are talking about this, because yeah, uh, one morning I decided to go metal detecting, and as we were metal detecting, I noticed there was actually like something in the ground, and I started digging, and it was actually quite deep. Like it kept beeping and it kept getting louder. So I knew it was close, and like the entire pit started like filling with like water, and like it was getting all flooded and like I guess like wet and that kind of stuff. So as I keep digging, I managed to pull something out, and it's like a small little like thing of like a water bottle, like one of those like small beads with like the straps where you can like do something with it. Either way, I put it over the ground again, and once again, it actually started going off, which means it was there was something big down there, and I was about to get it, except unfortunately, a giant flash thunderstorm comes and starts pouring, and my phone just goes off and says lightning warning like 5 miles away, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's bad. I'm holding a metal rod looking for metal. This probably isn't a good idea. So I start running and take shelter, and I hang under a parking garage because I actually had to walk home back to like the beach house. So it was kind of painful, but I was there for like an hour, and then I got home, and then I chilled out for the rest of the day. I didn't find anything else major with the metal detector after that. However, I thought that was a pretty cool, interesting story. Overall, I really enjoyed my vacation. I'm sorry the videos are taking forever, but hopefully we should be back on like a week schedule. So the arm is kind of like probably looking interesting right now. Like, I'm gonna be real here. Mildly concerning, even, because some of the shape, I struggled really hard with this. Like, I wish I could do it a bit better, or maybe, like, redo the actual hand itself, because it just looks a bit off, and I don't think it really looks that much like a hand, and feels, like, very disoriented. The arm looks pretty fine. I think I just need to, like, polish it up a bit. As I show later in the video, I did add one detail I really liked, but I ran out of iron, so you will probably see that shortly. However, now that we're actually wrapping up with the build, I do actually add a couple details off camera, which you will see right about now. And as well as that, we will now be entering a snapshot, because the day I recorded this, a new snapshot came out, and oh boy, is it big. Isn't it beautiful? The giant monster arm crawling out of the pot right there. It looks like it's being restricted by a couple chains with Soulfire. I personally really like it. Like, obviously, like, I feel like I could do a bit more, like, maybe put, like, another chain. I actually ran out of iron, so I don't actually have enough to, like, make, like, lanterns and stuff, so that's why this is kind of put on hold. But as you may notice by my hotbar, I don't have my resource pack on, and that's because we're actually on the new snapshot this week. This was totally unexpected. I thought they would be coming back very soon. I thought like next week, but they're back now. And while most of the features are like technical or quality of life or like require new chunks, there is one that I really want to focus on. So over here in our villager hall, they overhauled the entirety of like librarians and stuff. So like you can't get this anymore, and you can't discount them multiple times. So that's like utterly worthless now. Well, actually, no, it's not worthless now to me. These are incredibly valuable villagers now, which means if I kill them, it's gonna be very problematic. However, so if we grab a lectern here, right, and some emeralds, and we go down to this guy right here, and we just, give him it. Librarian villagers are different now. So they are now based off a chart. But essentially, each villager, depending on its biome, will sell a different trade. So in savannas, they sell Curse of Binding, Knockback, Sweeping Edge, and Sharpness. So they sell like weapon, like sword, enchants. However, things like swamps will sell like mending and like respiration and depth strider, or in the like snow biomes, they sell Silk Touch and Frostwalker. This is a very interesting change. It's on the experiment list, and my world's experimental, so I have to add it to the worlds as the rules go. But as well as that, they also added it so each biome villager will have like a special book to add on to it. So in this case, the special book will always be Sharpness 3. However, all the other enchants that it might come with, like Knockback or Binding, that might not actually be given. Like, those can rotate, and I don't think there's a max... Like, I think it varies on levels, too, so I could get, like, a Sweeping Edge 2 book. And I still need to do research on this. Probably by the time this video comes out, there's going to be a one before it that actually has me investigating it. But in this world, now, we are actually going to get one villager right here. To, like, be featured in the snapshot as kind of like an artifact. Also, I think I already said this, they can't be cured anymore, like, multiple times. And this only impacts librarian villagers. So I have, like, a lot of thoughts on this, as, like, a concept. Obviously, I still need to do my research. But I really don't think they should be doing, like, biome exclusivity for, like, one set of villager. Because if they're doing this for all of them, and the goal is to, like, encourage to nerf the librarian books, nerf the power levels, all that stuff, and they want us to have more villages and ways to like move out through the world instead of one solid trading hall base, they really shouldn't do it like this. And if the villager trade is based off like their like skin and their like data in there, then what's stopping me from getting a swamp villager, like all the villagers in like a breeder, breed them up and then have them on me in one trading hall? If anything, it's just a lot more inconvenient, and I don't think they should be doing it like this. I think prices do vary. But also, with the villager nerf trade now, the bookshelf trade is no longer actually sustainable. I can't get bookshelf trades in this world anymore, which is really unfortunate, because that was one of my favorite trades. Which means I'm gonna need, like, a new source of things in case these guys die. So... Also, they removed books from these now, which is also... Yeah, this is 38. It seems like they only rotate between, like, 2 trades. Well, like, 3 in this case. I saw the paper trade, I saw Curse of Binding, and then I saw Sweeping Edge. Yeah, this is Curse of Binding, for one. I've only seen Curse of Binding and Sweeping Edge so far. Like, oh, there's Knockback. That's Knockback 1. So you can get different levels, per thing. And different prices, so that already answers a couple things. Another controversial change is with the special books. They moved the level down by 1 for all the books, and they're all the good ones. So, like, you can't get Prot 4 from a villager anymore. You can only get Prot 3. And, you know, that's interesting. The issue is anvils suck in Minecraft right now. Oh my god, I got another knockback. Well, that that makes things worse too. Uh, because you can get repeat trades very frequently, apparently. Oh boy. So I assume the master trade is going to be the one that actually gives us, like, the sharpness 3 book. But since anvils kind of suck right now, combining books is such a hassle and ruins the gameplay, and it bothers me on so many levels. They also made it so it's efficiency 3 instead of efficiency 4 and sharpness 3 instead of sharpness 4, which makes this even more inconvenient. It's actually incredibly frustrating, because now it's more wise to use an enchantment table and max that out, which also takes time. And while I get this is meant to like slow down gameplay and fix like the villager trading, I don't think that we should go through all this hassle just to get an efficiency 3 book by going to a desert that's probably 5,000 blocks away. It's just too much of a mess. However, I do want to take some positive things with this. Like, for example, like, you can now always get, like, a mending villager or, like, a silk touch villager without spending, like, 3 hours on it, so it makes the gameplay a bit more interesting. And one thing I really appreciate, though, is how, like, we can now, like, get Prot 3 books and, like, mending books and, like, that kind of stuff without, like, rotating through the thing frequently. So it saves quite a bit of time. Another thing I really did like, though, was the Wandering Trader, uh, trades, just in general. Because now we can get, like, iron pickaxes, we can get logs, we can get potions of invisibility, we can get, like, a lot of, like, things. Like, the log trade is pretty good, because you can get, like, you can get, like, 32 logs just by a villager for, like, 1 emerald. And most of the, like, new trades, like baked potatoes, or hay bales, or milk buckets, or water buckets, and that kind of stuff, that introduces like a bunch of nice stuff, as well as like I think fermented spider eyes, which means you can actually like get weakness potions in like super flat worlds now, which is pretty cool. So yeah, okay, so the last trade will always sell sharpness. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this villager. This is mostly just like tested in the world. Everything else that can be tested is like bug fixes, which is fine. Or we could go to new chunks to see how like diamond rates have changed, but I don't really want to load new chunks right now. So for now, I think I'm going to end it here, since this was a really productive episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, check out the villager video that I posted yesterday. That should be interesting for people to figure out. I think there's even a spreadsheet there. So, and hopefully I'm a bit more knowledgeable. So thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.